HITC Sport. Alright, every football fan relishes when one of their players quits the club only to end up falling flat on their face. It's a bit like running into that wife who ran out on you after 1 year and then you see her working night corners outside Chicken Hut. You're going to laugh in your car. So let's take a look at every Premier League club and find the one player that you've either sold or loaned out in the summer and just see which player is on their way to flopping. Alright, let's go. Arsenal, Matteo Guendouzi, Marseille. Listen, I am tempted to pick Lucas Torreira, who's been a bit of a wet cheese stain on load of Fiorentina so far. I mean, this is a former Arsenal midfield general who's being kept out of the team by something called Alfie Duncan. Bit embarrassing, but no, I'm gonna go with Matteo Guendouzi, who's on loan at Marseille, and according to the French papers, everyone hates him. Chris, well, he's already had an on-pitch bust-up with Gerson. He's had Patrick Van Aanholt threatening to whip his wig off on social media. I don't know what little man means, but it's hardly a verbal kiss on the cheek. Do you remember that fight with Neil Maupay, where every Arsenal fan quickly came to the conclusion that the Brighton striker has the ego of a minivan?
Maupay, you're an absolute disgrace. You're a cheat. I hope Brighton get relegated.
Yeah, it's starting to look like it's Guendouzi who's actually about as likeable as Jeremy Lynch. I mean, what's he gonna do next? Build a football pitch in his back garden? When most people have had to spend the last year eating Pringles out of a shoe? To be fair, he is in the France squad, so on the pitch, he hasn't been a complete mustard sandwich of Marseille's midfield, but this isn't a loan with an obligation to buy. He still needs to impress here. This is like a London orphanage, sending out a troublesome foster kid to live with some family in France. If he winds up ripping down the curtain, microwaving the cat and punching the dad in the face, oh, you're damn right he's not getting adopted. So someone at Arsenal, if you want your £25 million for next summer, oh, ring up Guendouzi now and tell him to stop having the personality of Katie Hopkins. Aston Villa, Jack Grealish, Man City. Okay, no, Jack Grealish hasn't been a complete laughable flop rotting on Manchester City's bench, but does he look like a £100 million player? Well, the only time Man City bid that sort of money for anybody else was 2009's version of Kaka. If I'm comparing Grealish's performance to that of Pete Kaka, oh, it looks like he's playing a completely different sport. Pep Guardiola seems to want to play the man into form, right? But I'm sorry, playing on the left of an attacking trio at Man City, you could stick my Aunt Bertha on that left wing and she'd have got 7 goals by now, and she's got diabetes in both feet. The man's been given nearly 1,000 minutes of football on the pitch this season, and he's only got 2 goals and 2 assists. Sure, that RB Leipzig Champions League showing was spectacular, but other than that, what? A ball rebounding off his hip against Norwich? Against the likes of PSG, Tottenham, Southampton and Liverpool, honestly, it was like watching Britney Spears in a pair of football boots. I mean, where is the end product gone, Jack? Bernardo Silva is a man who's nearly tossed into a Milanese dumpster in August, and yet here he is outclassing Grealish, making him look every inch the overpriced James Maddison. I mean, come on, City fans, surely you expected more. Brentford, Emiliano Marcondes, Bournemouth. I thought it was harsh that Brentford dumped Emiliano Marcondes just days after scoring the championship playoff final, but to be fair, now the Danish midfielder begging Scott Parker to rescue his career. I mean, it started great, a goal in his debut and a 2-2 draw with West Brom, but after a goalless draw in August, just days after playing an hour in that shambolic 6-0 cup loss at Norwich, he was immediately booted out of the team and has just rotted on the bench for the last 6 games, not playing a single second. I'm guessing right now Marcondes, having lost his place to a former Preston yellow card merchant in Ben Pearson, you know, someone who's probably about 1/3 cannibal, oh, he must feel like swallowing a pint of dog food. Brighton, Davy Proper, PSV. Yeah, here's 30-year-old Dutch midfielder Davy Proper, who's finally quit Brighton after 4 years to move back to PSV. Now, in his first spell, the guy was scoring over 20 goals across 2 seasons and chipping in with 15 assists. This version of him though, minus the creativity, 11 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. I mean, he's battled with injuries, only started 2 Eredivisie matches. He played just 25 minutes against Benfica as they were knocked out of the Champions League qualifying rounds. He was dragged off at half time in that shambolic 4-0 embarrassment against Feyenoord, where he was mostly made to look like toilet bleach. This guy's in a talented squad with the likes of Noni Madueke, Mario Götze, Marco van Ginkel and Carlos Vinicius. This should be a walk in the park for him, but now instead this has been an underwhelming return. Burnley, Ben Gibson, Norwich. Yeah, so Norwich loanee Ben Gibson finally ended his Burnley nightmare with a permanent move to Carrow Road, and it's been a complete and utter disaster. He's played the full 90 minutes in 6 games this season. Gibson, this guy was once linked with Man City, who nearly went to the World Cup with England, but now you're currently stuffed in one of the worst Premier League units I've ever seen in my life. Even a Turkish cowpat like Ozan Kabak is outperforming Gibson. Grant Hanley in the centre of that back 5 looks more defensively solid than this walking birthday cake. Chelsea, Timo Bakayoko, AC Milan. Okay, there's nobody really fading away at Chelsea so far this season. I suppose Timo Bakayoko went to AC Milan on loan. You know, the former Monaco Atletico beefcake midfielder. He played an hour against Lazio in his second debut and has since missed 6 games of muscle injury. I know it's not fair to write someone off as a flop for being injured, but lads, I'm guessing Milan fans have probably already forgotten to even sign him. Crystal Palace, James McCarthy, Celtic. Listen, he is Irish, so I want James McCarthy to get his career back on track at Celtic, but I'm sorry, he's about as fragile as Judy Dench's hip. Honestly, I feel for Ante Postoglu, because McCarthy is a guy who probably needs a rail in the shower. I mean, he's probably in danger of cracking his cervix just reaching for the box of Cocoa Pops. His limbs are literally made out of spongy Jaffa cake. This guy has won the FA Cup. He was linked with Man United and Tottenham in the past. Roberto Martinez has probably showed Kevin De Bruyne tapes of him at Wigan. I mean, De Bruyne probably paid about as much attention to those videos as anybody would to the Big Bang Theory. So you think he is the big Premier League name ready to replace Scott Brown in the centre of the park, right? But no, he's been left out of 6 matchday squads. He made 15-minute cameos against the likes of Hearts, AZ Alkmaar and Ross County. He's looked like a wet cabbage in 30-minute cameos against Real Betis and Bayer Leverkusen. He played the first 72 minutes in that depressing 1-0 loss to Livingston, getting passed off the park by Jason Holt. McCarthy is on a 4-year deal. Celtic fans, can you really take 4 more years of this? Everton, Moise Kean, Juventus. I feel bad for Moise Kean. This was his Everton career in a nutshell.
Alright Moise, I pay 30 million for you. Go on and score me a goal. Go on, come on Moise. Come on.
I mean, don't forget, last season, he banged in 17 goals for PSG. Yes, he likes a house party during a global pandemic, so clearly he's got the brains of a Love Island contestant, but he is still a decent goal scorer. But back at Juventus, it's back to being an impact sub off the bench. 8 minutes against Napoli, 24 minutes against AC Milan, 8 against Sampdoria, 22 against Malmo, 13 against Chelsea. He's only 20 years old. What is he supposed to do in 20 minutes, other than make love to the Hoover twice? Sure, he scored in a 3-2 win at Spezia, but Max Allegri just dragged him off at halftime against Torino. Again, what's that going to do to his confidence? Juventus would rather persist with the modern day Roberto Soldado. Alright lads, try and hit 550,000 subscribers as soon as possible. If you're new here and you want to see more content like this, then slap that big fat red subscribe button in the teeth and you'd be the biggest legend on the face of the planet. Anyway, back into the video. Leeds, Eshkan Alioski, Al Ahly. Yeah, how many of you are keeping tabs on Eshkan Alioski out in Al Ahly? You know that former Leeds fullback who looked like a boys own reject? Listen, he's not been a complete disaster. He's chipped in with 2 goals out in Saudi Arabia, but he's played 6 matches, failed to win any of them. Leicester, Rashid Ghazal, Besiktas. Remember when Rashid Ghazal was supposed to be the direct replacement for Riyad Mahrez at Leicester? Yeah, they are both Algerian wingers. One is one of the silkiest, classiest footballers in the world. The other has the muscle strength of an ice cream cone. But anyway, while on loan at Besiktas last season, he scored 8 goals and chipped in with 18 assists. That is utterly electric, world-class form. No wonder they signed him on a permanent basis. But we're nearly at Halloween, and it's clear to see his end product's been flushed down the toilet. 7 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. There's been no impact on the pitch, and in the Champions League, he's looked more out of his depth than Floyd Mayweather in a library. Just not great. Liverpool, Gini Wijnaldum, PSG. Gini Wijnaldum is furious.
I can't say I'm completely happy. It's not what I wanted. I've played a lot in recent years, and then this happens.
Yeah, this guy had both Barcelona and PSG sniffing around his face for months, until Barca logged into their bank accounts and realised they could no longer afford Rice Krispies in the canteen. Listen, Wijnaldum left Liverpool to chase the money at PSG, right? And clearly, Mauricio Pochettino, a guy who used to pick Harry Winks in midfield until he's blue in the face, a man who agreed to pay £30 million for a walking sandbag like Moussa Sissoko, is he's now turning his nose up at a Champions League winning midfielder. He's only started 1 league game since August, was dragged off at half-time against Club Brugge in the Champions League, and now it just gets restricted to 10 to 15 minute cameos in the French league, all the while watching scouts' children outperform him in Liverpool's midfield. I mean, don't be surprised if this guy gets a return to Newcastle in January. Man City, Eric Garcia, Barcelona. Well, obviously, Sergio Aguero's move to play with Messi at Barcelona has been a nightmare, but there's very few transfers in Europe that have been as diabolical as this one. Eric Garcia, the scrum cap wearing Man City centre half, who tried to emulate Gerard Piqué by getting that dream move from rainy Manchester to the Nou Camp. No, I'm sorry, words can't sum up how hideous Garcia has been. I mean, his debut was relatively decent, a 4-2 home win over Real Sociedad. I mean, sure, the clean sheet was lying tattered in a bin, but still 3 points. Since then, he's been sent off against Athletic Bilbao, been dropped for games against Cadiz, Atletico Madrid, played in back-to-back 3-0 Champions League humiliations against Bayern Munich and Benfica, where, oh yeah, he was sent off again. I know he's only 20, but he's not a teenage child. This guy's on a 5-year deal, supposed to be the future of the Nou Camp, with a buyout clause of €400 million. Is that supposed to be a joke? Based on these performances, I would even pay a half-empty box of Beatles for the guy. He's like the Spanish Paul McShane. Man United, Brandon Williams, Norwich. To be fair, why did Brandon Williams' agent think think it was appropriate to send his clients into immediate relegation battle at Carrow Road. I mean, Norwich have had promising fullbacks like Jamal Lewis and Max Aarons on their books, and despite being good players, their careers are also lying trapped at the foot of a toaster. I think this is where Brandon Williams' Manchester United career officially dies. He's played 4 Premier League games, lost them all, and Daniel Farke just dropped him to the bench for the draw against Burnley. Poor old Brandon. I think it's fair to say we're never going to see him play with Ronaldo. Newcastle, Matty Longstaff, Aberdeen. That Matty Longstaff winning goal against Manchester United was one of the greatest mini moments in Premier League football. A local lad seizing his fairy tale chance, but I'm sorry, Longstaff is never going to play for his hometown club again. This guy last summer was tipped to replace Rodrigo de Paul at Udinese. I hope he framed that headline on his fridge, because it's never happening again. A loan move to Aberdeen. I would have thought that would be beneath his talents, but no. He was dragged off the pitch after an hour at his debut in a frustrating 1-1 home draw with Ross County. Then again next week in a 2-0 defeat at Motherwell, where he had the impact of a Chris Packett. He's been dumped to the bench 2 weeks in a row, then played 88 minutes in a 2-1 home defeat to Celtic. I'm sorry, but considering the hype, Longstaff should have turned up and dominated Scottish football. But now he looks like someone who'd be better suited to El Expo. Oh, see, this guy is Jack Colback Part 2. Norwich, Emi Buendia, Aston Villa. It's harsh to call Emi Buendia a total flop, but he is a £40 million club record signing for Aston Villa. I expected better than this. I mean, apparently Arsenal preferred him to Martin Odegaard. I mean, come on, what has happened? His debut was a shocker, looking like a limp shadow in a 3-2 defeat to Watford, but then he put his foot down and played well in a 2-0 win over Newcastle, and then scored a wonder goal in a 1-1 draw with Brentford. But since then, left out of the squad for the trip to Chelsea, left on the bench against Everton, given 12 minutes against Man United at Old Trafford, and then just 20 minutes against Tottenham. Emi Buendia cannot get into this Aston Villa team. It's not great so far. Southampton, Yannick Vestergaard, Leicester. Why? Why did Leicester go out and sign 2 defenders? From the back 4, they scored 9 goals against in a single match. Replacing the injured Wesley Fofana with Yannick Vestergaard, someone who looks like he failed an audition for the Addams Family. What? He's been a disaster. An error-prone walking headache. He looks like Jaws from James Bond. Leicester haven't won a single match in which he started, and he started 6 of them, conceding 10 goals. The man oozes insecurity in the centre of defence. He's a lump, a 6-foot lump of cow meat. He's been involved in 3 2-2 draws already. So far, utterly hopeless. Tottenham, Danny Rose, Watford. I'm convinced Moussa Sissoko will wind up in this list soon enough. I mean, I can't see Claudio Ranieri taking to a guy who's proven in the past that he has about as much hunger for a relegation fight as an anorexic teenage girl has for a triple cheeseburger. But let's pick Danny Rose. He's finally forced his way into the Watford first team, and hasn't looked very good. To think he was confused why Jose Mourinho didn't want to pick him. Watford, Will Hughes, Crystal Palace. Will Hughes hasn't played a single minute of football for Crystal Palace so far. I think it's fair to say Patrick Vieira thinks he's a lump of scrambled egg. He should have just stayed at Watford. What was the point of moving, really? West Ham, Zandy Silva, Nottingham Forest. Confusing. Zandy Silva is a 24-year-old Portuguese winger and been left out of the Nottingham Forest matchday squad 5 times. He was given 24 minutes against Middlesbrough and then just banished from the... Doesn't make sense. Wolves, Owen out to Sawi Club Bruges. Do they even remember they even signed him? He's not been given a sniff. And with that, it's 11 o'clock. What do you think? Alright, have there been other players who flopped and who I've forgotten? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.